For thousands of years, the galaxy had grown larger and louder. Great empires rose with their fleets of shining warships, covering the stars like shadows. They bent whole planets to their will, and their voices carried fear. They measured strength by the number of systems under their control and the brightness of their weapons that could split moons. In such a galaxy, Earth was nothing more than a whisper. A small blue world, fragile in appearance, standing at the edge of known space. To most alien eyes, Earth was harmless. Its ships were slow, its colonies few, its weapons simple. Humans looked weak beside the towering giants of other species. Their history was full of wars, yes, but compared to the galaxy's titans, those wars seemed like children's fights in the mud. When Earth finally joined the Interstellar Council, representatives from stronger empires greeted them with cold smiles. Their laughter carried through hidden channels. "They are farmers," one alien delegate whispered. "They are dreamers," said another. "They are nothing." At every meeting, humans were spoken over, dismissed, ignored. When Earth raised concerns, their words were met with smirks. Other civilizations saw them as a planet to be pitied, perhaps protected but never respected. Earth soldiers were called fragile. Their science was called primitive. Even their art was mocked as naive and sentimental. But what no one understood was that Earth remembered everything. Every insult, every slight, every mocking word carved itself into human memory like marks on stone. Humanity had learned long ago, on their own world, that mockery often came before betrayal. Their history had taught them that those who laugh the loudest often strike the hardest. And so, while the galaxy laughed, Earth grew quiet. On the surface, Earth played its role well. They spoke politely at the council. They sent small ships for trade. They accepted every rule, every insult with patience. But in the hidden parts of their world, a different story was being written. Deep under mountains, inside old bunkers that once held nuclear fire, generals met in secret. They looked at the stars not with fear, but with calculation. They studied alien fleets, alien tactics, alien weaknesses. They did not shout, they did not threaten, but they prepared. The engineers of Earth worked in silence. Old factories that once made cars now forged parts for machines no alien eye had ever seen. Satellites floated in orbit, their true purpose hidden. Underground labs carried strange energy pulses, testing weapons disguised as simple communication devices. Even the smallest discoveries were turned into tools of survival. Humans knew they could never match the galaxy in numbers. They could never build fleets as large as the empires. But they did not need to. Survival was not about numbers. It was about finding the one strike that mattered. Still, the galaxy remained blind. News of Earth's preparations never left the planet. Scouts who watched humans saw nothing but harmless life. A small world of blue oceans and green lands. A people too busy singing, farming, and building to be dangerous. To most species, humans were like children who had wandered into a battlefield. Pity followed them, not fear. Yet sometimes there were whispers. Traders who visited Earth carried uneasy stories. They spoke of strange lights above the poles, patterns in the sky that did not belong to natural storms. They told of signals that flickered through the void, sharp and coded as if testing something, but these rumors were brushed aside. After all, how could weak humans be capable of such things? No one believed them. The greatest insult came when the Veiled Dominion, one of the most ruthless powers in the galaxy, announced that Earth would fall under their protection. The word was a mask for conquest. The council did not protest. Some even laughed. "At least Earth will be safe now," they said. But everyone understood the truth. The Veil would strip Earth of resources, silence its voice, and keep its people as obedient workers. When the first Veil ships appeared in Earth's orbit, they came without caution. Their commanders expected no resistance. To them, the humans were too weak to fight. The Veil fleet broadcast messages filled with arrogance, demanding surrender. In the council chambers, alien delegates exchanged mocking smiles. The humans would bend as they always did, but on Earth, Silence stretched long and deep. The leaders did not answer immediately. In bunkers buried under stone, in command rooms without windows, they waited. Generals stared at maps filled with glowing points of light. Scientists watched screens filled with numbers. Pilots sat ready, their faces cold, their hands steady. Earth did not tremble. The world that was mocked as harmless had been preparing for this moment. Every insult had been fuel. Every dismissal had been a lesson. Every laugh had been a warning. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy something it had forgotten. Patience can be more dangerous than power, and silence can hide storms. The galaxy, in all its pride, believed Earth was weak. The Veil believed Earth was already theirs. But in the stillness of that night, as the first enemy fleet hovered above their skies, humanity prepared to reveal its face. Not the face of weakness, not the face of pity, but the face of something far more terrifying, something the galaxy had never expected, because Earth was never truly harmless. It had only been patient, and patience in the hands of humans was a weapon sharper than any blade. The silence after the Veiled Dominion's declaration was heavier than any sound. The council chamber, filled with hundreds of alien voices, barely reacted. No one lifted a finger to defend Earth. Some smiled quietly, glad the humans would finally be placed under control. Others whispered that at least the farmers of the blue planet would now have protection. Only a handful of delegates looked uneasy, but their doubts were drowned in laughter. For the Veiled Dominion, Earth was already theirs. Their fleet stretched across half a sector, swallowing world after world. They did not invade with diplomacy, they came with demands and fire. Most planets bent their knees before the first fleet, even arrived, for the Veil were known for their cruelty. When they announced Earth as their newest protectorate, they did not expect a battle. They expected surrender. High above the blue oceans, the first Veil ships appeared in Earth's orbit. They were black like stone, shaped with sharp edges that looked like claws stretching into space. Their presence blocked the stars. Each ship carried soldiers trained from birth, machines forged with alien precision. From their command ship came a transmission, played across every channel. This world is now under the protection of the Dominion. You will obey. Resistance will bring destruction. To the galaxy watching, the event seemed ordinary. Another small world swallowed, another people silenced. But inside Earth's bunkers, the moment was not ordinary at all. The generals who had waited for this day leaned over maps glowing with red lights. Scientists whispered to each other, their faces pale yet determined. Leaders looked at each other and nodded. The time for silence was over. The first sign came quietly. The Veil's drones, small machines released to scan Earth's orbit, suddenly failed, their signals cut off mid-broadcast. The Veil officers frowned. They assumed it was a technical error, perhaps interference from Earth's weak satellites. But when the drones were recovered, something unexpected appeared. The machines had been taken apart, cleanly, precisely. Every circuit stripped, every wire mapped. The humans had captured them. At the council, alien observers reported these rumors. Many dismissed them. Accident, they said. Luck. But a few asked questions. How had a so-called weak world managed to interfere with Veil technology at all? The answers were drowned in more laughter. Weeks passed. More drones went missing. The Veil sent patrol ships closer, but even those came back with damaged systems. Invisible signals filled the void around Earth, strange pulses that seemed to test, probe, and learn. Still, the Veil did not fear. To them, humans were only children playing with tools they did not understand. But Earth understood far more than anyone believed. Each captured drone was a book of knowledge. Human scientists tore them apart, learned their designs, and uncovered flaws hidden in plain sight. Within days, they knew how to jam the Veil's codes. Within weeks, they found weaknesses in their shields. Within months, they had turned their enemy's pride into a blueprint for resistance. The galaxy remained blind. To the outside, Earth still looked calm. There were no grand fleets leaving orbit, no fiery speeches broadcast across the stars. Instead, Earth built quietly, hidden under clouds and oceans. Old satellites were repurposed into weapons. Small ships were armed with strange devices that other empires did not recognize. Pilots trained in secret, learning tactics not taught in alien academies. Every insult had been a lesson. Every dismissal had been fuel. The Veil continued to tighten their grip. They demanded Earth send resources, metals, and energy as tribute. They demanded human leaders kneel in public broadcast. Yet Earth delayed, stalling with excuses and silence. It was not weakness that held them back. It was patience. They were not ready to reveal themselves. Not yet. But tension began to spread. Traitors who slipped past the Dominion's patrols carried unsettling stories. They spoke of strange flashes in Earth's skies, lights that lasted too long to be natural storms. They described signals in the void that no translator could break, codes that hummed like heartbeat patterns. And they spoke of human faces, calm, steady, but no longer naive. Something had changed. The Veiled Dominion laughed at these rumors. Their commanders called them lies told by frightened merchants. To prove their strength, they sent a larger fleet. Not the full war fleet, but a line of ships armed to intimidate. Their orders were clear. Fly close to Earth, show power, crush resistance if needed. The galaxy leaned closer. Delegates watched live transmissions expecting the humans to finally bend. They will surrender, one alien delegate said. They always do. Another added, Earth is harmless. This will be over quickly. But in the bunkers beneath Earth's surface, the screens glowed red with incoming targets. Generals gave calm commands. Engineers flicked switches that had waited years for this moment. Satellites hidden in the upper atmosphere turned their faces toward the enemy. Pilots slid into cockpits, their hands steady, their hearts beating hard. The rising threat had come at last. The Veil believed they were walking into an easy victory. The galaxy believed Earth would break. But humanity knew the truth. They had studied the enemy. They had prepared their silence into a storm. And when the first Veil fleet drifted into range, Earth prepared to answer, not with surrender, but with a revelation the galaxy would never forget. The night the Veil fleet entered Earth's orbit, the skies looked calm. To those living on the planet's surface, it was like any other evening. Children slept, cities glowed with quiet lights, and waves crashed against empty shores. Yet far above, in the cold darkness of space, something far more dangerous was taking place. The Veil ships hovered in silence, their hulls black as stone, their weapons ready. They had done this many times before, arriving above a weaker world, demanding submission, and crushing any thought of resistance. To their commanders, Earth was nothing but another name to add to their long list of conquered worlds. But inside the command centers, hidden deep below Earth's ground, a storm was waiting. Humans did not panic. They did not scream. They watched. Screens filled with enemy patterns. Numbers rolled across displays. Orders moved like whispers, calm but sharp. Every leader knew what was about to unfold. For decades, they had been preparing for this moment, building something no alien eye had ever seen. It began with the satellites. To the Veil, they were old machines left behind by a backward world, harmless junk floating in orbit, but each one had been quietly transformed. Their antennas were not only for communication, they carried hidden coils, generators, and strange devices shaped by years of stolen knowledge. When activated, they could release storms of energy strong enough to blind entire fleets. The first strike came like lightning. Without warning, the satellites lit the void with invisible waves. The Veil ships, proud with their gleaming shields, suddenly faltered. Systems flickered. Engines coughed. Lights went dark. Officers shouted as screens died in front of them. The mighty Dominion fleet had not even fired a shot, and already it was blind. On Earth, the bunkers were silent. No one cheered. No one celebrated. They watched closely, measuring every weakness, every crack in the enemy's armor. For humanity, this was not about glory. It was about survival. The Veil recovered some power, but confusion filled their ranks. How had a primitive world achieved this? Their commanders refused to believe it was possible. Coincidence, one barked. A trick of space. But their fear showed in their eyes, and the satellites were only the beginning. From hidden bases across Earth, new weapons came to life. Railguns, massive cannons built beneath mountains, powered up with a low rumble that shook the ground. Unlike alien weapons designed to dazzle with energy beams, railguns were simple, brutal rods of metal launched at impossible speeds. They carried no glow, no warning, only devastating impact. The first shot tore through space like a silent spear. A Veil cruiser, its shields flickering from the earlier pulse, shattered in an instant. The crew had no time to scream. The ship split apart, debris scattering across the stars. For the first time in centuries, a Dominion vessel had been destroyed by a so-called weak world. In the council halls across the galaxy, silence replaced laughter. Delegates leaned forward, their eyes wide, their voices quiet. They had expected surrender. Instead, they witnessed something terrifying, a hidden arsenal the humans had been keeping in the dark. But Earth was not finished. Drones rose from underground hangars, swarms of small machines shaped like knives of metal. Unlike alien drones, which were built for show as much as battle, human drones carried only one purpose: to kill. They spread across the void, silent and fast, their movements unpredictable. They slammed into the Veil ships, cutting into joints, drilling into armor, jamming signals. The Dominion fleet, once a wall of black stone, now looked like a crumbling fortress. Sparks burst across their hulls. Screams echoed in their comms. Their commanders demanded order, but their voices shook. The enemy they had mocked as weak was tearing them apart with weapons they had never imagined. On Earth, the generals did not smile. Their faces remained cold. They knew this battle was only the beginning. The Veil fleet above was not their entire power. It was only a test line, a warning. The true war fleet would come next, and it would be vast. If humanity wanted to survive, they had to reveal only part of their arsenal, not all. So they pulled back, allowing a few Veil ships to retreat. The Dominion would return with greater force, yes, but they would return afraid. And fear was the seed humanity had been waiting to plant. Across the galaxy, the whispers grew louder. Reports spread like wildfire. The humans destroyed a Dominion cruiser. The humans blinded a fleet. The humans fought back. At first, many denied it. They said it was rumor, exaggeration. But the broken ships drifting near Earth's orbit told the truth. The truth no empire wanted to face. Earth was not harmless. In the shadows of the galaxy, old powers began to stir. Some feared what the humans could become. Others saw an opportunity, perhaps an ally against the Dominion. And still others whispered of something more dangerous, that humanity's patience had always been a weapon, and now the galaxy had forced them to use it. As the last Veil ships limped away, Earth's skies grew quiet again. People in the cities below looked up, unaware of the battle fought above them. To them, the night still seemed peaceful, but the leaders knew peace was gone. The Dominion would return and the galaxy would watch. This time, no one would laugh. The hidden arsenal was no longer a secret. The galaxy had seen the first glimpse of what humanity had been building in silence, and they would never see Earth the same way again. The retreat of the first Veil fleet did not bring relief. It brought silence, a silence heavy with the promise of vengeance. In the void of space, the wreckage of shattered ships drifted like broken bones, proof of something the galaxy could hardly believe. Earth had struck back. But the Veil Dominion was not an empire that accepted shame. Their pride was iron, their wrath legendary. The loss of a cruiser, the humiliation of retreat demanded a response. Across their sectors, orders were shouted, fleets mobilized, weapons charged. They would not allow one small world to stain their name. They would return with fire, and so they did. Weeks later, the skies above Earth filled with shadows. This time it was not a line of ships, but an armada, a full war fleet stretching from horizon to horizon. Thousands of vessels, their hulls black and jagged, their engines burning red. The Dominion had come not to threaten, but to erase. Across the galaxy, billions tuned into the live transmissions. Delegates in the council chambers leaned forward, certain they were about to witness Earth's destruction. Now, one alien whispered, the humans will break. They cannot resist this, another said. This will be their end. But deep below Earth's mountains and oceans, the humans were calm. They had always known the Dominion would return with fury. This was the storm they had prepared for. And now, at last, the storm had come. The first wave began with fire. The Dominion unleashed volleys of plasma, energy beams that tore through the upper atmosphere. The skies glowed red as the world shook beneath the bombardment. Cities dimmed, seas boiled, mountains cracked. The Veil laughed in their command rooms, certain the humans had no answer. Then the answer came. From beneath the oceans, massive silos opened. From mountains, hidden doors slid away. From deserts, long-buried launchers rose like giants from their graves. Humanity's true arsenal, hidden for decades, revealed itself. The first missiles launched without light or sound. Cloaked in silence, they cut through the atmosphere like shadows. The Veil scanners failed to catch them. One by one, the warheads struck the fleet. Explosions tore across the void, ships shattering in bursts of fire. A dozen Dominion vessels fell in seconds. But this was only the beginning. The railguns fired again, faster than before, their rounds tearing through armor as if it were paper. Entire cruisers cracked apart, their shields useless against the sheer speed of metal slugs. Human drones, swarming like locusts, attacked in waves, small, relentless, impossible to track. They drilled into engines, melted weapons, and overloaded reactors. The Dominion fleet fought back, their cannons scorching the skies. But humanity's weapons were built not for display, but for killing. Every strike was precise. Every move was ruthless. Where the Dominion relied on numbers and intimidation, humans relied on patience and perfect timing. The galaxy watched in horror. The Harmless world was not only resisting, it was dismantling one of the strongest war fleets ever assembled. Ships that had crushed 100 worlds were falling to pieces above a planet once called weak. In the council chambers, no one spoke. Some delegates stared in disbelief. Others began to fear for their own empires. If Earth could destroy the Dominion's fleet, what else could they do? What other weapons still lay hidden in their silence? On the battlefield, the Veil commanders grew desperate. Their orders turned frantic, their voices sharp with fear. They had expected an easy slaughter, but instead, they were being hunted. One by one, their ships blinked out of existence. Fires consumed their vessels. Explosions rolled across the void like thunder. Then came humanity's most terrifying weapon of all. A signal pulsed from Earth, a frequency no one recognized. It spread across the battlefield, invisible and unstoppable. Veil ships froze. Their systems flickered. Their weapons turned silent. The humans had hacked into their technology, using the knowledge gained from captured drones. Entire fleets of ships became helpless, drifting in the void. In the quiet that followed, human voices cut through the comms. Calm, steady, cold. You thought we were harmless. You thought wrong. The Dominion fleet broke. Some ships exploded. Others tried to flee, only to be hunted down by drones. A few managed to escape, limping through the void, carrying stories of terror back to their empire. On Earth, the generals did not celebrate. Their faces remained grim. They had won, yes, but they knew victory carried a price. The Dominion would not forgive. The galaxy would not forget. The humans had revealed their power, and now the stars would see them not as weak but as dangerous. But danger was the truth humanity had always carried. They had survived wars, disasters, and betrayals on their own world long before they reached the stars. They had been called fragile, yet they endured. They had been called weak, yet they adapted. And now, when the galaxy demanded they bow, they had stood tall. The terrifying power of Earth was no longer a secret. The galaxy had seen it, and the galaxy trembled. The smoke of battle still hung in Earth's skies. In orbit, broken fragments of the Dominion fleet drifted silently, glowing with fading fire. The once proud ships of the Veil now floated like dead husks, reminders of a battle the galaxy never believed possible. Across the stars, silence spread. The transmissions had been live. Every council member, every empire, every trader who tuned in had seen the same thing. The Harmless world, mocked for generations, had destroyed one of the greatest war fleets in known history. The galaxy had laughed at Earth. Now the galaxy was afraid. On the council floor, whispers grew into arguments. Some demanded that humanity be punished before they grew stronger. Others argued for peace, fearing that any move against them would lead to disaster. A few spoke quietly, wondering if Earth might be the ally they had always needed. But no one, not even the proudest empires, dared to laugh anymore. The Dominion licked its wounds in silence. Their survivors returned home with trembling voices, carrying stories of weapons that blinded fleets, missiles that came without warning, and humans who fought without mercy. Their leaders swore revenge, but behind their threats lay hesitation. For the first time, the Dominion had met an enemy that turned fear against them. On Earth, life returned to a strange calm. Cities repaired their damage, people walked their streets, and children played beneath skies that had burned only weeks before. But beneath this calm, leaders understood the truth. The world had changed forever. They were no longer seen as weak. They were no longer ignored. Their name had become a warning. In the bunkers, the generals met in silence. They did not speak of victory with pride. They spoke of survival. "We showed only a fraction," one said. "If we had revealed everything, the galaxy would unite against us." Another nodded. "Patience saved us once. It must save us again." Humanity's greatest weapon was not only their arsenal, it was their ability to wait, to strike only when the time was right. But outside their walls, the whispers continued to grow. On distant worlds, alien children heard stories of humans as monsters cloaked in smiles. Soldiers were warned never to underestimate Earth. Traders spoke of skies that lit with storms and ships that fell like stone. And among the weak and the oppressed, hope began to rise. If humans could stand against the Dominion, perhaps others could too. One question began to echo across the stars. What else are they hiding? Because no one truly believed Earth had shown its full hand. If the humans had built such weapons in secret, what greater terrors still slept beneath their oceans, mountains, and skies? The uncertainty was enough to keep empires awake at night. The reputation of Earth changed in a single breath. Once mocked as dreamers and farmers, now they were called something else. Survivors, strategists, predators waiting in the dark. The galaxy no longer saw them as a fragile world. They saw them as a storm, patient and merciless, and the humans said nothing to deny it. They did not boast of victory. They did not send threats or promises across the stars. They remained silent, letting the wreckage above their world speak for them. Silence, as always, was their greatest message. It left every empire guessing. It left every commander doubting. It left the Dominion burning with shame. For humanity, silence was not weakness. It was power. The stars had forgotten Earth for centuries, calling them harmless, fragile, unworthy of fear. But now the galaxy remembered. And in that memory, humanity's new reputation was born. They were no longer the quiet blue planet. They were the storm waiting to break, the shadow that studied, the hand that struck only once but struck with perfection. No empire would mock them again. No council would laugh, because Earth had shown the truth that no one wanted to believe. They had never been harmless. They had only been patient, and patience in the hands of humanity was the most terrifying power of all.